now let's talk about some Avengers Doomsday. Whoa, dude. The internet is a miserable place, y'all. You guys know around here, I try to keep things positive. I try to keep things excited. People call me a shill. People call me sellout for those reasons. When it's like, I just love movies. Am I easy to please with movies? Sure. Do I get a lot of movies, some good? Yeah, it's because I love movies. What's wrong with that, right? And so, one of the movies I'm excited for, regardless with all the missteps and kind of underwhelmingness of the recent MCU movies, is Avengers Doomsday. I'm kind of excited to see, like, look at these cast of characters. I can't wait for all of them to interact. Fantastic Four, Shang-Chi, Captain America, Namor. Like, who is not excited to get a movie with all these characters coming together to fight Doomsday, right? Well, there's been a ton of interesting articles coming out lately. I think some of these, I wonder if they're real. I wonder if they're exaggerated. And some of these, I think people are really blowing out of proportion and trying to make something out of nothing. So we're going to go through a couple of them. I say just take it with a grain of salt. It's still I think something we're talking about because the internet is really trying hard to like pin Avengers Doomsday as the next disaster comic book movie being made. So first off, one of the things that was coming out was Robert Downey Jr. is apparently looking to reshoot some of the scenes he's done as Doctor Doom. Let me see if I can find this article that came out. All right, so here we have it. Robert Downey Jr. This is one story out of like three or four that we got to talk about. Robert Downey Jr. reportedly pushed for major Avengers Doomsday reshoots. So this is coming from Jeff Snyder. So definitely take it with a grain of salt. I'll tell you, Snyder's credibility has gone downhill, and he has been on a wild path. I don't even want to show it. So, apparently, the guy had posted a photo of him in a pink Speedo. And I scrolled past that on my timeline. And that SpongeBob meme, my eyes, my eyes. But it's out there. If you see it, I feel sorry for you. But he's claiming that Downey involved in but he's claiming here that the upcoming MCU pick reportedly underwent nearly a full month of reshoots. It was allegedly at the request of Downey himself, who's stepping into the villainous role of Doctor Doom. Snyder explained that during filming, Downey was involved in the project, but wasn't physically appearing in some scenes. Instead, stand-ins and doubles filmed while Downey provided voice work or read lines offset. But at some point, he realized that wasn't cutting it. He said here, I heard Doomsday had to undergo 3 weeks of reshoots at Downey's request. There were times when Downey would be present on set, read lines for Doctor Doom, but not involved in the scene. Okay, so basically what he claims is happening here, and what he's heard, is that Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Doom, he is not physically in the suit. He's not physically wearing the armor. And, I honestly could believe that. I could honestly believe that for a couple of reasons. Well, I think Robert Downey Jr. is in great shape and he looks well and all that. I think you do want to give Doctor Doom a sort of stature, a sort of demeanor. And I think maybe Robert Downey Jr. is a little too slender for that type of demeanor that they want to give off. I could totally understand Marvel maybe hiring a body double to fill in the Doctor Doom suit, make it look a little muscular and packed and just like a filled on physical threat, right? And so maybe that's the route they went. And they're like, Downey, we're going to have this physical guy here. You're going to be covered in a mask either way. So we're just going to have you read off your lines here. And we'll do the Iron Man thing where you're in a black room going, Jarvis, jerk it a little, So I could believe that. I could believe that maybe that's what they wanted to do because maybe Downey in the actual outfit just doesn't look as menacing as they would like. It just looks a little off. And so Downey was just not liking that, was feeling the performance wasn't coming out right. He wanted to actually just physically embody Doom. And so he's requesting, hey, you guys pay me $80 million to be in this movie. Can I just actually be in the suit? Maybe. Maybe, right? I don't know. Downey's pretty jacked. Oh, he is. I think he is jacked, but he has a sleeper build, I think is what you would call it. A sleeper build. Oh, but also, now that I'm even saying that, there are such thing as like muscle padding suits. I feel like they could probably pull that off with metal either way. Still, though, I'm just saying, like, I could possibly see that being a case. What makes me start to question this and believe its reliability is when he's saying that Downey was still on set reading lines off camera. That makes no sense. Because if you're gonna have the body double thing and have someone on set do all the physical work, there is no point for Downey to be right off the side of the camera going, "And now, Mr. Fantastic, I'm Mary Sue." You know, like there's no point to have Downey there because he's eventually going to do that in a recording booth in a studio. They're not going to put a mic on him to the side and be like, "All right, Downey, can you say your lines here for everybody?" That doesn't feel right to me. Doesn't feel like so. I'm questioning this. I'm not. I'm gonna give a scale of 1 to 10 to each one of these stories. I'm gonna give this one a 4. One at a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of whether I believe it or not. I just don't see this one happening. And man, but if anybody has the power to tell the Russo brothers in Marvel, I don't like the way this scene went, we're reshooting it, it's gonna be Robert Downey Jr. Unfortunately, I don't think many actors could get away with that. Robert Downey Jr. probably could get away with that, and I bet you he also has, I don't want to say the ego, but he feels he has enough of the power with how long he's built the MCU that he's like, if I say we need to change it, we need to change it. So we'll see. We'll see on that. Okay, let's move on to the next traumatic story that happened. The next one, I have no idea whether I want to believe it or not. Apparently, there's been a story going around that two actors on the set of Avengers Doomsday have gotten into an altercation, a clash, if you will. So here we go. It says here, details emerge about reported on-set clash between two Avengers stars who went at each other. Okay. Let's go in again. And this is coming. Now, this one is coming from John Roca, which I have nothing against John Roca. I remember when he would be on Collider every now and then. I sometimes agree with his opinion, sometimes I wouldn't. And honestly, I never found him to be like a scooper or someone putting out sources, but that all changed when John Roca was the first person to tell us that the Hulk and the Punisher would appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That was like in January, guys. I'm not even in January. John Roca was like, that's what I heard the movie's about. And I remember all of us going, the Hulk and the Punisher? Okay, get this guy out of here. So what's this about Mephisto and Ghost Rider? That's the real story we need to believe, guys. John Roca ended up being right on the money, and he seems to have some source in Marvel and these films that is telling him accurate information. So it's kind of the main reason I'm believing just an ounce of this story. But he says here, there are two pretty big actors. Apparently, a comment from what I understood was made in jest that was a bit too familiar because these actors don't know each other too well. It crossed the line. One of the actors got really upset about it, confronted the other actor. It was said on set that caused a big rift. Two very outspoken actors went at each other. The situation escalated to the point where Marvel Studios reportedly considered restructuring the shooting schedule. Roca explained, one of the actors, Marvel said, we'll shoot your scene separately or without the other actor in it, and we'll figure it out in some other way. Ugh! Ugh! That sounded like the Mario. Okay, man. It is always so funny when we hear about online egos coming together. I mean, the most famous instant was Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson on the set of Fast and Furious, right? I mean, you can understand that. Two big, like this scene right here is the proof of it too. What actors talk to each other? That will always be so funny to me, that scene, because they're clearly not on set together, and that's how they had to film that scene. Just like, who? Yeah, we rode good together there, Rock. Yeah, we did, Vin. And now we're family. No one talks to each other that way. But it had to happen because the egos clashed and they got mad at each other and this and that. I think they've made up now and things are okay, which is good. And so when you have a cast as big as Avengers Doomsday, I think that's unfortunately bound to happen. You have a lot of big names attached to this movie, man. I mean, like here are some of the names and faces. All of these are going to be sharing screen time, coming together, and some people feel like they have more seniority over others. I mean, if you have a scene with like Pedro Pascal and I don't know, Robert Downey Jr., which I'm not suggesting those are the two actors that fought. We have no idea who they are, and we could speculate on who in a second. But let's say you have Pedro Pascal and Robert Downey Jr., and they're in a scene together. And while Pedro is a seasoned actor and he's done a lot of work in Hollywood, same as Robert Downey Jr., Robert Downey Jr. is going to feel a little bit more willing to like nudge this actor, Pedro, tell him some things and Chris, because he's been with the MCU for decades. Pedro is brand new, a freshman into this universe. That could create some divide. That could create some conflict in there. Unfortunately, I feel like there is a part of me that slightly believes this, but I feel it's maybe an exaggeration. I don't think it would be to the point where, like, all right, we're going to have to restructure this movie. We're going to have to make sure they're not on set together, keep them separated. I mean, you'd have to say something crazy for that to happen, and I have no idea what. I mean, some actors have like, yeah, I don't think Pedro would be the one to cause the fight. If I had to put money on it, it's not Pedro. From all the interviews and things I've seen, Pedro is very willing to get along with anybody, and so unless you're just the guy who hates the guy that gets along with everybody, there's no reason for you to hate Pedro. I did see like some people were speculating like crazy that maybe it was like I don't know, let's say it was Anthony Mackie and James Marsden. And Anthony Mackie brought up how James Marsden had defended was his name Brian Peck, the guy from Nickelodeon who allegedly, well not I think he probably did do it, but I have to say allegedly for legal reasons. That unfortunately, groped Drake Bell and all that stuff, and then he was known to like send in letters to the judge and all that kind of. Some people are theorizing that far. Like he messed up his line, and Anthony Mackie or somebody on set went real quick and was like, "Well, at least I don't defend pedos." And he's like, "What did you just say? What did you say?" I don't know, man. Like people went crazy with the theorizing and thinking about who it would be. I would not be able to tell you who I think. I mean, and what kind of personal business do you bring up in on set and that kind of stuff? I would feel like, would this just not all feel like a big old party? Would this just not feel like amazing? Like, guys, we're getting paid to be superheroes. We're in a movie that like half the world is gonna go see. Let's have fun. Why would you want to fight? I don't know. I guess those sets can get crazy. So if I'm being honest, I'm gonna give this story on a scale of 1 to 10 a 6 in terms of believability. I feel like there could be something there, but I do think there is an exaggeration. It could simply be two actors fought for one day, heat of the moment, long hours in those uncomfortable costumes. They're sweating. This guy's not getting his lines right, and you just want to go to your trailer and relax for the day. You say something a little off the line, you fight for a bit, but the next morning when you come back on set, you're like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I was just not in a good mood. Done, done. I feel like that's the extent of it, but of course I wasn't there. John wasn't there. We don't know. So yeah. All right. The next one, 6-7. My God, I apologize, God. I'm not doing that on purpose. Yeah, people. I know people are saying Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds. Maybe I could believe Ryan. Maybe, but I mean, also I feel like his role is so small in the movie. It has that you can't be doing all that kind of stuff for a small role character. Like I think Deadpool, like the reports of Deadpool being in the movie, I believe that. But I think Deadpool's going to be in the movie for a max of 9 minutes. He's not going to be a huge character. At least I don't think so. Um, so I was like, would you, 9 minutes of screen time is going to be enough to like restructure a whole scene and be like, guys, come on, just get it together professionally and do this scene. I don't know. All right. The next story, unfortunately, is getting a lot of traction, and I can see why. We had some comments made by the biggest leaker of you, Tom Holland, Mark Ruffalo. They got nothing on freaking Nightcrawler. What's his name? Alan Cummings. Floop. Those who know. Because he decided to come out and say something that is just not being taken well by the entire community. I mean, those might have been the comments up there, but I want to find the exact ones. I guess it was this one. He said, Let's see here. Nightcrawler. I think it was with discussing film, but like everybody was going crazy on him. I want to find the exact quote. All right, Alan Cumming says he doesn't know who he was acting with half the time when filming Avengers Doomsday. I did the entire film in isolation. Lots of green screen, face replacement. They even gave characters fake names. I don't know who I was acting with half the time. Okay, this story got taken everywhere, and people have been like, even the 130 94, that's a lot. That is a lot, and a lot of people have been bashing it and saying movies should not be made like this. This is not how cinema goes. This is not leading to a recipe of success. This feels like it's going to be a disaster and horrible. Okay, maybe there is some truth to that. I think many of them don't realize the brilliance that was Space Jam: A New Legacy. Because if you see the way that movie was made, I mean, look at that. History was made there, folks. You know, you know who LeBron is standing next to? He knows the Looney Tunes. There's Bugs Bunny, there's Lola, there's Daffy. Taz is over here. Granny's naked. You can't even see her. And Tweety Bird is right under there. And LeBron is an auteur. He did not complain. He did not worry. He took in the magnitude of what it is to make a Space Jam movie and said, I can handle this challenge. And dang right he did, fellas. Dang right he did. I'm obviously being facetious here, but it is up to that scale where this is how Avengers Doomsday is being filmed. It is just him in a room talking to he doesn't even know who. Nightcrawler is there in makeup, and one of the Russo brothers, because the other one's on lunch and one of them is working, is saying, "All right, Nightcrawler, you're talking to Luke Cage right now, and Luke Cage just took your baby mama. Action." What? You took my baby mama? That's good. Can we make it more blue, Nightcrawler, please? I get it. It's not going to be great, but I feel like a lot of Marvel movies are made this way. So many of them are done like that. And it doesn't even extend to Marvel films. Lord of the Ring movies have been made this way. I think not the Peter Jackson ones, but the later ones. Hobbit definitely were. Tons of films have the ping pong ball situation where they're just maybe looking at a tennis ball. I don't think it's unfamiliar. Some people say it could just be a special case for Alan Cummings because unfortunately he was leaking a lot of stuff. In an interview, he let it know that his character fights off Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal, and he did say later in another interview he got in trouble for revealing that. So maybe when he went back on set, we're like, hey, we can't trust you with knowing who you're fighting against. You're fighting Batman in this one. Go. It's like maybe it could just be that. And I also guarantee you, like Infinity War and Endgame also had this type of stuff going on. It'll definitely be reflected into the movie, and we'll see how it goes on. If anything, to me, this is just screaming more and more like a delay is happening again for Doomsday, man. These type of scenes where like you just have one character in a room by themselves and they're going to be implanted in with other groups of characters. That's going to take time. Reshooting scenes because Robert Downey Jr. didn't like the way it went, or because two actors are fighting and they have to reschedule things so they can film separately. This is not stuff that is buttering up the movie, and I get people's worriness for it. I am still having hope, and I'm thinking since this isn't the Russo brothers' first rodeo, they'll be able to handle a lot of this. But I think if we get that announcement of a delay of the movie being set back, it could lend some truth to some of this stuff. I mean, we're hearing every day that they're still not even finished with the script for the movie, and that supposedly that it's all getting worked on. I'd hate for that to be the truth. So we'll see, man. It's honestly gloomy, and I get why people are turning on it. I just want to have some optimism and hope that it's working out. And again, this isn't a first for Marvel. Tons of movies have been like this. Does it create for the best scenery and look of a film? No. But I mean, I think sometimes if they revealed what characters are in a room or not in a room and I think sometimes people would be surprised and be like, oh, I didn't even know. What? Thanos was fake. That caught me off guard. You know, so we'll see. Uh, yeah, and then see, they did just and say they didn't have a completed script for it, and a lot of people brought that up. Infinity War and Endgame had all these exact same problems: not a finished script, uh, shooting in secrecy, tons of rooms by themselves, things like that's just how the movie makes, and we gotta trust the process and hope it goes well. I'm trusting it. I'm just like, who's not excited to see freaking Nightcrawler fight Mr. Fantastic, dude? That's not even a fight scenario I had in my mind, but just knowing the X-Men are gonna tussle with the Fantastic Four for a little bit, that's 2 tickets, please. 2 tickets, please. But I throw it off to you guys. You hear some of these reports and things going around. You think they're exaggerated. You think there's some legitimacy to this. I mean, I have to give this one a 10 because, I mean, the actor said it himself. So it's a real thing happening. Whether it ends up being a good or bad thing, we'll find out once the movie comes out. But you guys let me know on that Avengers Doomsday stuff. All right. If I want to also squeeze in that whatchamacallit, so this story that just popped up about Doctor Strange will reportedly be working with Doctor Doom in Doomsday. We have known this because if you look at Avengers Doomsday concept art, excuse me, guys. We have seen that Doctor Strange is Doctor Doom's right-hand man in this situation right there. I know they're like, well, they debunked this. These are real. All right. I don't care. These are real. They are gonna part of the movie, and we'll see it come fruition. And right there's your proof. Doctor Strange, right-hand man to Doctor Doom. I forget which version of Doctor Strange it is. Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom servant. I don't. It's like Boris Karel. Is that his name? No, it's a variant of Doctor Doom, and it is in the Secret Wars storyline. An ally. They once joined forces with Strange acting as a trusted ally to Doom to save the soul of Doom's mother from a demon. I'm looking for Secret Wars one. But yeah, Doctor Doom has worked along as like his enforcer at one point. Let me see. Some of you guys are probably talking about it. Sheriff Strange. Is that what it was called? Sheriff Strange, Doctor Doom. Sheriff Strange. There we go. That's his name. That's the Doctor Doom that works alongside him. Doctor Strange. I'm too many doctors. I'm sorry. Sheriff Strange is the only law in his part of Battleworld, and he enforces the law with all his powers of the one-time Sorcerer Supreme. And he's put there by Doctor Doom. So yeah, it's not really new. We've kind of known that. That's been popping around. Let me guess. Is it Snyder? Is it Snyder? Yep, John Roca and Snyder. So yeah, nothing really new there. We've kind of known that was happening.